What's up, guys? Checking in again from Cordoba, trying to get in the hang of doing more videos because I think it's just a different way to share things that I haven't really practiced too much with before. So last time I did a little short video. It was in a call room at the work center, and this time I tried to get a little better venue. So check this out. Huge cathedral up here, pretty. It's like beautiful sunshine, 80 something degrees right now. It's I don't even know what date it is, February 25th, I think. Is that something like that? Anyway, down in sunny Cordoba. Let's get to the point. I'm going to do a little wrap up of what I've seen so far here in Argentina as a whole. Buenos Aires last month, I should have done a wrap up video there, but like I said, I'm trying to get in the hang of doing these things more often. So what can I say about Argentina as a whole? Let's start with the people. We'll get to the food later, because everybody told me before I came down, they're like, oh, you're going to love Argentina. You're going to love the people. They're so cool. They're so kind. And they weren't wrong. There's a lot of great, awesome people here. Been lucky enough to meet a handful of them and hang out with some, cook with some, been to dinner with some people, lots of cocktails, getting to know some folks, which is kind of nice. The funny thing about it, what I found of pretty much all of Argentina, it's this crazy chaotic balance, because there's some really cool people here until you go to cross the street, and then they're pretty much running your ass off the road. Just like any big city, though, Cordoba is still close to a couple million people. It's like 1.5 million, 2 million. So, you know, it's a pretty large city, especially compared to where I'm from in Reno. It's only 400,000. But the people are awesome. When I said that balance, you know, as far as they are, as far as their attitude goes, same thing goes with food. They really find beauty in the simple things, which I kind of feel like we need to do a little bit more of as Americans, but at the same time, get a little bit bored as a chef looking for something new and different all the time, right? So it's been a little bit of a challenge for me. Buenos Aires specifically, there's a ton of variety of restaurants, meaning there was places that did Mexican food, there was Asian places, there was Indian places, but by and large, they weren't all great. To me, I found a surprising lack of products, ingredients there. And I think that most of the chefs that are doing really good work have to go out of their way to find those ingredients. They aren't really readily available, at least not that I saw. And talking to a handful of cooks and chefs there, pretty much agreed. They got to go to markets. They've got to go out and find it from the producers, which is super cool. But if you don't know your way around, it makes it a little bit tough, I think. One thing that they do really well in Buenos Aires is steak, of course. Nothing wrong with it at all. Had some really good meals, actually, at I might lose the name, Proper Restaurant. It's one of the top 50 in Latin America. They just made the list, but they've been open like 6 months, which is amazing. They made like a beautiful ribeye. It was actually technically a tomahawk steak, but they called it a ribeye. Super awesome, cooked perfectly, super good flavor, had nice compound butter on top, etc. Went to Don Julio, another top 50. Went to La Carniceria, went to Nino Gordo, went to Secret Parilla. All these places had some really good steaks. That being said, I'm a little bit spoiled working in the meat business my whole life. Of course, I've eaten some of the best steaks around, and currently, you know, working with Fort Klamath Ranch, the Wagyu that they have. Not to brag, but if you can forgive me for being immodest for a minute, when I cook up one of those New York steak from that Fort Klamath Ranch Wagyu, pretty hard to beat. Then let's see, Buenos Aires overall pretty good, awesome steaks. Didn't have a whole lot of variety outside of that. Santi, thank you Santi, showed me some really cool stuff down there, and I will go back and explore it a little bit more. Kind of as I was leaving, I really started seeing the things that I should have found earlier. So when I came to Cordoba, I made it a point to like get down to the market. I put some pictures up before on Instagram, I think, a little bit in the blog. Mercado Norte. Went there the other day with my buddy Luke from the group that I'm traveling with Aurora. We did a big family asado, right? So we went down to Mercado Norte and grabbed all the beef. What was really cool about that experience is I don't think they're used to seeing white guys like me go in, and Luke, he's Australian. They're not used to seeing us walk in and order, you know, 4 kilos of this, 5 kilos of that, etc. So every single person was asking where we're from. What are you guys doing? You know, they were all excited, which was pretty fun. But so I found that market pretty early on. But still, even at that market, Dietéticas, which is where you go for spices, there's a spice market in Mercado Norte, the little grocery stores, the kioscos, etc. There's still what I consider really very basic ingredients I can't find, like dried chilies. I'm dying for good Mexican food. To make good Mexican food, not going to happen. But outside of that, what they're known for in Cordoba, I don't know what they're known for in Cordoba. They do asados really well, which asado is They hate when you compare it to an American barbecue, but similar idea. What they do differently, as I wrote about in the blog post working with Luciano, the Viking chef, what they do differently is just really slow down and enjoy it. So that's what everybody says. If you want to enjoy food in Cordoba, make some friends, do an asado, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. And if you can, bring a gringo, because I think that that's extra fun, especially if the gringo's cooking asado and they're happy with it. What baffles me about Cordoba, one thing I just can't figure out, you walk down the street and it's restaurant after restaurant after restaurant, all serving the same thing. Lots of craft beer, haven't found any great yet. Keep in mind I'm picky. All my traveling companions have found great beer, but I don't know, I guess I'm a little bit harder to please when it comes to that, being spoiled so long. But every restaurant has pizza, they have burgers, they have french fries, over and over and over and over again. And literally, like side by side, walking down the street right up from my apartment, it's a Lomito restaurant next to a Lomito restaurant, which is like a steak sandwich, super good, but you get tired of them. So there's two Lomito restaurants, one called Lomito, one called Lomito 348, and right next to that is another one that features Lomitos, and then next to that is another one that features Lomitos. And then they all have pizzas as well, and they all have french fries as well. So dining choices are a little bit limited, at least in Nueva Cordoba. But what I found, again, a little bit late, the other night, we went to a restaurant called La Mama, which is super, super cool, killer, old school Italian. A little bit fancy, white tablecloth restaurant. But we had a few different types of pasta at the table. There was 4 of us. We had risotto, which Karina had, super awesome, cooked perfectly. I had pappardelle alla amatriciana, which is amatriciana, trying to get my Italian and Spanish together here. Pappardelle alla amatriciana, and honestly, it was one of the best pasta dishes I've had in quite a long time, which I was happy with. We also had lasagna at the table. We also had pappardelle bolognese, super simple but super tasty. It was exactly what it should have been, homemade, nice and fresh and yummy. So overall, if there's any lesson to be learned, if anybody happens to come down to Cordoba, I definitely suggest Cordoba if you want to hang out and relax for a bit and you're close by. If you're looking for great food, not going to really find it here. Go down to Mendoza, stay in Buenos Aires. But if you do come to Cordoba to relax, hang out, go to the Sierras, go to the lakes, go to Carlos Paz, etc., hit up La Mama, get outside of the norm. Don't stay in Nueva Cordoba and eat. That's where I screwed up. Again, so Lima next month, definitely shaking it up a little bit there. Staying in Miraflores, which is the fancy neighborhood. I've already figured out the sketchy neighborhoods, got plans to go down there. Already found, thanks to Gabriel, our experience manager with Remote Year, he set me up, or shared a blog post with me, where to find the best street food in Lima. So can't wait for that. That's been surprisingly lacking in Argentina. I've just assumed that street food is cool everywhere, but they don't really like it in Argentina. So next week, Lima, leave Saturday, gonna spend a couple of days down in Santiago and Valparaiso, Chile, taste some white wines, eat some seafood, finally fresh seafood near the beach in Valparaiso. They call it the San Francisco of Chile. Looks beautiful, check it out. What else? Yeah, Santiago, then on to Lima, have reservations at Central, reservations at Maido, going to Lamar, ask for the butcher's table at Oso, which means by the end, and one stop in Santiago at Barago, means that by the end of March I will have 4 of the top 5 best restaurants in Latin America, according to somebody else's list. I'll not sure how they are when I get there. Thanks for hanging out. This ended up a little bit longer, so if you're still watching, totally appreciate it. Drop me a line somewhere and say hi, give me a thumbs up, something like that. See you soon. I'll check in from Chile or Peru next week.